to think about it. I'm Sylvia Henderson, your host, and I invite you, as always, to tune in, take what you see and hear, and, well, think about it. So today, I am excited to have as a guest a branding and marketing expert. And we're going to emphasize more on the branding end of things, but we're going to talk about branding, a little bit about marketing probably, but for businesses, and a little bit maybe about how do we translate that into professional or personal branding too, but mainly business. And my guest is Melody Belotte. And Melody, welcome to Think About It.
Thank you, Sylvia. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I love all the topics and themes that you cover on here. So I'm excited to be a part of it.
Cool. And in the true nature of branding and marketing, you'll be able to come back to this or use some of this as far as linking to your marketing, hopefully. So Melody's business is Melody Belotte Media. And I love the title, just like I do with every guest. The first question is sort of, how did you come to make this your business and make this, your profession? I love the tagline you have on your website, and it's marketing, creativity, and everyday light bulb moments. And considering my business is about idea implementation, I love the light bulb moments too. So how in the world did, on a short version of bio, did you come to make this your profession, your business?
Sure, absolutely. Well, I've got about 15 years of experience in marketing and business and entrepreneurship. I got my start with nonprofits and churches. And so I always bring that up because I know what it's like to not have any budget, not have any coworkers or anybody to help you carry the load. And so it was a great opportunity. There weren't any, big, robust marketing teams, but they really had a good mission. And so it was a great chance to teach them how to use best practices of business to grow their organizations. Really enjoyed those years. And I'd often hire agencies to do some of the heavy lifting. So one of those agencies gave me the opportunity to flip to the other side of the table, go from being a client to a coworker. So I worked in the agency world for a little bit. We served everything from small mom and pop clients all the way to big brands like Under Armour and Volvo and things like that. So that was a great opportunity to kind of flex my marketing muscles, kind of learn what it's like to be in that big arena. But at the end of the day, I really just missed working with those small, scrappy, agile companies who were just, sold on their mission and sold on, the cause behind what they were doing. And so I recently stepped away from the agency life and launched this new company. So that way I could take the core proven principles that are working for big brands and just make them more affordable and make them more accessible to the solopreneur, to the small business owner, to the person who just says, I've got this cause or mission that I really believe in. I just need the marketing toolkit to make it happen. And so that's what I'm loving these days. Hence, I'm doing a lot of workshops with SBDC, how we met. So that is the long story made really short.
Great. And sometimes I hate the term small business because that kind of categorizes you, but
sure.
As a reasonably new business, and I know full well the search for marketing help. And, sometimes you hear ad agencies. It's like, no, that's too much right now.
Right.
I love the one-to-one working with somebody to help build the brand, help build the messaging with you, be partnership with you. That also, I noticed with your newsletters that you, and we'll tell viewers how to get your newsletters.
Yeah.
But I noticed how you focus on sort of the budget, quick tips, easy to implement items, and that's really
Exactly.
special.
Well, business owners are overwhelmed, so I'm not going to give them these big, complicated solutions to make them feel like they're drowning even more. I want to help them become more efficient with their marketing so that they can spend more time on what matters. So that's my MO, spend more time on what matters.
Cool. We're going to talk a little bit more about that too later. So branding, since I said that's going to be our focus, we hear the term branding. We hear over the years in business and professional development, personal branding, business branding. And I know when I was starting out in business many years ago on my own, coming from a large corporation who was really adamant about their brand, they were more talking about their logo and how, not to change the colors and all of that. So I came into business thinking branding, got to have a logo, got to have bright colors, got to have a great website. But over the years, I've learned it's more than that. So talk a little bit about branding and that it's more than a logo and pretty colors.
Absolutely, yeah. So Walter Landor, he says, products are made in factories, but brands are made in the mind. So what I try to convince my clients to have a shift in their thinking is a brand is whatever somebody thinks about whenever they hear or see your name. It's not just the logo, it's not just the color palette, it's what that person is thinking about, what they're feeling whenever they see or hear your name. And so it's a little bit out of your control, but there are some things you can do to guide that process and reinforce what you want them to think about, because it includes everything factual that they know about your company, and they may or may not have all the facts about your company, and it includes everything emotional that they feel about your company. So it's everything factual and everything emotional. And the emotional piece is what most businesses miss out on. They don't really prioritize that, they overlook it. And I think that's the secret sauce.
So why should we care about what people feel about our businesses?
Well, I mean, think about it. If a customer doesn't have an emotional connection with your brand, product, or service, they have to rely strictly on facts, price, availability, inventory, things like that. And that may all be well and fine, but what it turns into is kind of a race to the bottom, or they start shopping around. And so the way that brands can overcome that is having an emotional connection. So if you're not the cheapest, if you're not the fastest, if you're not the most well-known, you can overcome a lot of those factors by being a memorable brand that they connect with. And so that's kind of why it's so important for small businesses, because when you can't compete with the big boys, you can, razzle dazzle and have a great personality. So
a lot of small businesses, and especially emerging ones or one or two person business owner businesses, their person is also could be their brand. In other words, the business really is, my business is what people feel about me. I think. How do you, or can we differentiate how people feel about me, the business owner, from Mind Team Solutions, the company, which would be my company? Or should that even happen?
Sure. Yeah. So I think, if you are the face of a company, you don't plan on, really expanding or taking it outside of your own personal name, then 100%. You are your brand and your brand is you. So whatever people think or feel about you, they're going to feel or think that way about your company. But if you have a partner, if you have, an opportunity to grow or size the company where it's not just your name, Mind Team Solutions could have a personality all of its own. It's going to be influenced by Sylvia, but it won't be dominated by Sylvia, because at the end of the day, if the company grows, expands, you want the audience to be able to connect with the company as if it was its own person. So that's the real crux of these personalities. You want people to think about your brand as if it were its own person. So.
Okay, yes, and so we are co-owned, and so that's what Josh and I are doing, is making Mind Team Solutions an entity with a brand, although it's hard not to have ourselves in it with our core values.
Yeah.
So you talked about, because I know these interviews are so short, so let's get right into how do we make that feeling happen. And when I first attended one of your workshops, you talked about something called a brand personality type. So is that like, our personality, our personalities only for business?
Yeah, so normally what I take clients through is a process where they can discover their brand archetype. Archetype, avatar, personality, persona, it's all kind of the same terminology, but basically you're creating a framework or language to describe your personality, describe your company. And tons of companies have developed these, but my favorite comes from a branding agency outside of Australia. Their name is Iconic Fox, and they have developed 12 unique brand archetypes that you can use as a framework and a foundation for identifying your personality. It's a lot like Myers-Briggs or DISC or StrengthsFinder, but instead of it just being, for you as a person, it's a framework or language to kind of help you understand your brand. And so they've got one of the best frameworks. So I usually take clients through those 12 archetypes.
Okay, so that, I'm used to hearing, okay, rule of three. So we can remember three things, but 12. So what's a little bit more? What's that look like? Or is there a kind of a visual for what that might look like?
The reason I love Iconic Fox, they beautifully illustrate all these archetypes in this color wheel. So you mentioned, the rule of threes. It's hard to remember anything past that. So obviously there's way more personality types than just three. So what they've done is they've developed this color wheel. There's 4 quadrants, and inside each quadrant are 3 different personality types or archetypes. So in each quadrant is kind of a human desire that personality is drawn towards. So if you look at the upper corner, all of the yellow, orange ones, their main human desire is to leave legacy. Below that, pursuing connection. Beside that, providing structure. And then on the top, exploring spirituality. And so one of the ways that you can identify your personality is by seeing which of these 4 quadrants you kind of are drawn to.
And I'm going to assume, whoa, okay, that was my assumption. I was going to assume that there's kind of a description about what each quadrant or each type is.
Exactly. So this is a real, deep dive snapshot at each one, but you can kind of see how the quadrants are divided up. If you want to leave legacy, pursue connection, provide structure, so on and so forth. So these are the 12 types. I'll run through them very, very quickly because, like I said, this is a full course. I mean, you can do this exercise, for weeks at a time and really geek out on it. But I'll run through them really quickly. So the first one is the OUTLAW. They're all about, revolution. So they want to break rules. Their language is really, really disruptive and rebellious. And so brands like Virgin Atlantic, Harley Davidson, Diesel, those are outlaw brands. And so that's how they define themselves in social media and advertising, so on and so forth. So they're all about revolution. Below that is the magician. So the magician is all about transformation. They want to inspire you to, have a brighter tomorrow. Brands like Coca-Cola, Disney, Dyson, great examples of that. Below that is the hero. Their main human desire is mastery, wanting to be the best. And so, it's really popular for competitive, athletic brands like Nike or Adidas to embody this archetype. Over to the next column where they're pursuing connection, you've got the lover. They're all about intimacy. You often see luxury brands like Chanel or Alfa Romeo. Their whole brand voice is very sensual, empathetic, and it's basically just making somebody feel like they've got this red carpet experience. Next is the jester. The jester is let's have a party. If I can't dance, I don't want to be a part of it. So brands like M&M, Old Spice, they're going to make you laugh. They're going to make you, feel happy. And so that's how the brand connects with their customers, by being funny, being happy. Below that is the everyman. So everyman is all about belonging. It's you're just like me, I'm just like you. This one is really popular for small businesses because they can really capitalize on that aspect of being local. So, they want, brands like Target, IKEA, they want you to feel like you belong there. When you walk in, they don't want you to feel, too small or too big. You should fit here.
So Melody, I want to stop you right there and leave this as a teaser for the next half of the program, because we'll talk about the last 6 of those personality types. And I want you to share a couple of examples on how this might work in terms of determining our brand personality for our business. So with that, we'll be right back.
Here are AARP's top tips on caregiver preparedness during coronavirus. Form a caregiving team. Inventory essential supplies and medications. Make a plan to stay connected. maintain self-care, and follow CDC guidelines. Learn more on our website.
Welcome back to Think About It. I'm still Sylvia Henderson, your host, and we are still talking about branding, primarily for businesses to consider their brands. And my guest is still Melody Belotte. So Melody, we're still here. So when we took the break, you covered the first 6 of the 12 brand personality types. So let's come back to cover the other 6 and go through a couple of examples of how this works for businesses. So
moving on to the column that's talking about providing structure, at the top you've got the caregiver, and they're all about service. So they want to put others before themselves. You often see, health and wellness organizations fit this profile type, organizations like UNICEF or TOMS. So that's a really, really sweet, caring, warm, reassuring voice. Below that is a ruler. So the ruler is all about control. Their brand voice is very commanding, and you see a lot of, upscale brands like Louis Vuitton, Mercedes-Benz, and Rolex. They represent the ruler because it's all about power. It's all about being the best, and quality is premier. Below that's the creator. So creator brands, they're all about innovation. If it can be imagined, it can be created. So they want to inspire you to think outside the box. Brands like Lego, Apple, Adobe are good examples of a creator. Last column is where we're talking about pursuing spirituality. So the innocent is a brand archetype that wants to promote safety. So they're all about being honest, humble, very, very pure brands. So it's common for health and beauty products, no parabens, no GMO kind of thing. Aveeno, Dove, innocent, obviously. Below that's the sage. The sage wants to promote understanding. So being really knowledgeable, providing you with the best information possible, encouraging you to just pursue knowledge. So a lot of educational institutions are good representations of this. University of Oxford, BBC, Google are all sage brands. And the last one is the explorer. The explorer is all about freedom. Don't fence me in. They want you to be fearless. They want you to be daring. And so a lot of outdoor brands like the North Face, Jeep, Patagonia often represent this. But even a lot of tech companies, if you're feeling stuck in your marketing, for instance, I would consider myself an explorer brand. So you can kind of see how that comes to life, hopefully.
So with the 12 personality types, I think I'm using the right phrasing, does it correspond to the products or the services that a company is selling or offering, like their personality type to the product, or can they be separate and it's just the feeling that a company wants to have in order to sell their product?
Yeah, not necessarily. And I'd actually say it's better if you can create it without thinking about the product. Think about a company like Geico, for instance. I consider that to be a jester brand. They want to make you laugh. They try and make it lighthearted, but their product, insurance, is not funny. I get in a car wreck when my house floods. That's not funny. And so they differentiated themselves in the industry by being a jester, by being funny. And they did it so well that other insurance companies started to mock it. And you came out with, Flo from Progressive and Farmers, they all started to become funny brands. And that's because Geico did it so well. So I wouldn't tie it to your product. Just think about how you can differentiate yourself from the industry and really stand out.
I like how you said others are trying, because some are succeeding and some not so well. And I think I'll just leave it at that.
Exactly.
So have you got an example, maybe two, we'll see how timing goes, of how you actually make that happen for a company?
Yeah, it's always good to see national examples because that's what we're all familiar with. So I'll talk about two of those first. You and I are both riders. We love our motorcycles. So I thought I would talk about Harley.
Yay! Okay.
Harley is an outlaw brand, and this ad is a great example because, they're saying my Harley Davidson will never try to friend me, limit me to 140 characters, or sell me an unlimited plan. And so what they're doing there is they're connecting with the audience, creating this emotional connection that says, if you're tired of the man sticking it to you, we're your guy, we're your solution. And so they're kind of, inspiring you to be that outlaw. There's a lot of other motorcycle, companies out there, but Harley Davidson is known to be the one that's always shown in the motorcycle gangs and always shown as this rough and tumble. So if you're a business dude and you want to tap into that, that feel, you might run out and buy a Harley. So that's a really good example of a brand personality at work. Another one is Target. So a lot of people, they think of Target as being, it's kind of this mid, it's kind of the level up from Walmart, somebody who has, not a lot of budget, but they have a little bit more expensive taste. And so people actually started to say, oh, well, where did you get this shirt? I got it at Target. I don't know if you've ever heard that, but Target must have picked up on that because they did this ad campaign of namaste, valet, sachet, Target. And so what they're doing, they're speaking this everyman language of, it's not fancy yoga, it's not ballet service, but we're the everyman brand. And so that serves them really, really well. Lastly, I don't want to give any specific names because brand personalities are really a private thing that a business would work on. It's not a public-facing ad campaign where you would tell your customer what your brand personality is. So I don't want to give any names, but I work with a lot of companies in the entertainment industry, movie theaters. And so one example here is a lot of movie theaters, they're getting content from Hollywood. It's the red carpet experience. Most movie theaters, whether they know it or not, they position themselves as a magician brand, where they're likening themselves to Disney and saying, come be transformed. We'll take you to, a different world. Come sit in our dark theater, forget the world behind you. Or they position themselves as a ruler. We're going to give you the red carpet treatment and, $20 popcorn. And, you're going to feel so luxurious when you come here. That's how most movie theaters position themselves. And so as I worked with these local theater companies, the more we dug into it, we said, what would really set us apart is if we positioned ourselves as just an everyday hero. We are the local theater. We want to give people a place to belong where they can feel comfortable. So all the ads are going to be everyman kind of language, really casual, authentic. And we sprinkled in a little bit of the hero personality as well, because we're going to save you from boredom. We're going to save you from, that typical experience that you have at home in front of your TV. We're going to, put a little more excitement into your day. And so that's just one small example of how, somebody set themselves apart in an industry that was saturated with a completely different personality.
So what I'm hearing somewhat is now, I'm hearing the feeling. I guess, so what I'm hearing is you probably question business owners on I speak for a living, on what they want their clients to feel like. Okay, so I'm thinking of if I'm selling soap. I'm not selling soap so much as I'm selling beauty. I'm selling freshness because that's what I want people to feel. I know sometimes we talk about in the coaching industry, we talk about people setting goals for physical fitness and are you denying yourself indulgences or are you celebrating better, feeling better health? And there's a distinction. Is that kind of
Sure, yeah. So if you think about it in terms of tangible and intangible. So soap, the tangible need that you're going to fill is to become clean. That is what the need that you are filling. A lot of businesses stop there. We will help you fill that need. But let's think about an intangible need, the human desire behind it. Maybe it is just to be clean. And so you're looking for that basic, dollar store brand. But if it's, to have a luxurious experience, that's going to be a different campaign. If it's to, smell a certain way and attract a mate, that's a different campaign. So, you can take it a lot of different ways. And that's why it's not product driven. It's based on what you think your audience needs and what they really want and what's going to set you apart in the industry. differentiation and connection are the two reasons you want a personality.
So since you're not just brand there, you're marketing on a bigger scale. So, as we're sort of moving to the end of our conversation, what's like that one thing that you wish businesses would do or think about, other than call you to hire you, to before they launch into creating their website and going through all the expense of creating all of their marketing materials? What's that thing that you wish they would do first?
Yeah, I mean, keeping with the theme of today's conversation, I personally feel like a brand personality successful marketing, because it's not just this fun add-on where you take a personality assessment and it spits out a result. If you know your brand personality, that can drive what colors you choose for your branding, what logo looks like, because you want all of those things to all kind of support this same theme or brand experience. So I think, if you're starting from ground zero, you have zero marketing collateral, start with personality, because then you don't have to go backwards and redo some things that might feel a little bit off.
Great advice from somebody, considering I've been through many a website and many a color before.
It's expensive to go the other way.
Does this concept work for individuals? If say I am a speaker, but say that I'm not really doing other things in business like products and all of that, quote, just speaking, does this work for individual branding? And if I'm a professional in a company, could I brand myself within the company?
Absolutely. So think about, we're in the world of influencers, solopreneurs. And so a lot of people say, I need to find out what my brand is. I even hear high schoolers talking about this. What's my brand? As they're building their own Instagram following and they don't even have a business or company. So yes, it can absolutely give you a framework. If you're really, wanting to create a concrete look and feel for yourself.
Okay. Okay. And they would kind of go through that same process, Myers-Briggs and all these other things. So this feels different from those kinds of assessments.
I think the main difference is those give you understanding. You understand yourself better, you understand others better. But this one gives you guardrails, kind of how you execute your branding or how you talk, how you think, how you behave. And so this one kind of gives you direction rather than just understanding.
And finally, as we're coming to a close, I think when people look at your website, they'll see you have an about page that, you talk about your belief in, yes, there's business. There's also, which probably ties into the brand of an owner, there's also life outside of business. And, you already said we both share motorcycling. I like how you state some of your outside work on your website, and so do I. So that's great for establishing that brand too.
Well, people want to buy from people, not a nameless, faceless company, So getting to know the person behind the screen is step one in making a connection. So, who knows? You and I may hit the road on a little trip here soon.
There you go. So finally, as we close, last time, how do people reach you?
MelodyBelotte.com. That's B as in Bravo, ELOTTE.com.
Awesome. Melody, thank you so much for the conversation today. And for viewers, I invite you, as always, to tune in, take what you see and hear, and, think about it. Until next time, make a great day.